Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the RacePlazaMedia podcast. My name is Milan.
My name is Pia.
And today we do unfortunately have to start off the pod or this video, if you're watching us on YouTube, with a little bit, like very sad news.
Very sad news, yes.
This weekend there was another 4-hour race at the Nürburgring, which is the Nürburgring Langstrecken series. It has recently also gotten a lot of attention because Max Verstappen has been racing in there. He raced there this past weekend as well.
Yeah, which was essentially like a qualifier for the 24-hour race that's coming up in a month from now.
Yes, plus just a regular 4-hour race.
Yes.
And unfortunately, during the qualifying, there was a terrible crash with a seven-car pileup, essentially, and one of their drivers unfortunately died. His name is Juha Miettinen. He was an amateur racer that I think he was 66.
Yes.
And who had actually a pretty good racing record. Someone had posted it online. And even though the medical response and emergency response was really quick, they were when he was at the medical center, they were unfortunately not able to resuscitate him, and he ended up passing away. 6 of the other drivers who were in that incident also were taken to the hospital just for precaution, but no one else actually even got injured as far as...
Well, nobody had any life-threatening injuries, which is obviously good.
Yeah.
I believe you had said that there was no real driver error. There was like some oil or something on the track.
That's what I had read, that there was, I guess, I think some type of fluid on the track. I think people are speculating might have been oil or something like that. And that led to the fatal crash of Juha. It is like, I'm just getting goosebumps just thinking about it, because we had just talked about it last week, how safe racing has gotten, especially in the car. But this also shows how incredibly dangerous still to this day just the Nordschleife alone is.
Yes.
Because it is a track that is, even though it is a track, it is quite narrow. And when you watch racing, especially like we watched the World Endurance Championship this weekend, and like you watch F1 and you see then GT3 cars and you're like, oh, they're not that fast, but they do hit speeds over like 200 up to 270 kilometers an hour, and they're racing at over 200 kilometers an hour. They're sending it down the Nordschleife, and it is just an incredibly dangerous track, you know, no matter how familiar you are with it, right? Things can always happen, and it's just like, it is a testament to, regardless of how safe it is still an incredibly dangerous sport to participate in. And of course, our condolences go out to his family and, you know, everyone also in the team. I can't imagine it being like something to go through, you know, losing your teammates this way. But we did wanted to bring it up because it is something, unfortunately, that does happen still in racing. But yeah, it is just, I don't really have more words to say about this.
Yeah, I don't have much to say either. It's just so heartbreaking.
It is very heartbreaking.
It's really, really sad. I'm also glad that you're talking mostly, because I'm getting really emotional about it again, just because it is, because we just talked about it, how safe it is. And it's just so heartbreaking that it happened regardless of our podcast. Like, who cares about our podcast? Like, it's just so sad that it happened.
Yeah.
That somebody lost their life. And then I read on Reddit, at least he died doing what he loves. In a way, it's like a
little bit of solace, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you could look at it that way, and it's like
tragic moment, right?
Exactly. I also had read, which I haven't double checked it, but apparently this is the first time somebody died in 13 years
at the Nordschleife.
At the Nürburgring, at the Nordschleife. So, which is, I guess, a good thing. I mean, it's a great thing that nobody had died in a really, really long time, and it's so sad that this has happened.
Yeah.
Like we said, things have gotten so much safer.
Yeah.
Like the engineering, the cars themselves. Of course, I'm sure also the drivers have gotten maybe better skills, better training, better preparation. They're physically so much fitter than they used to be back in the earlier ages of racing also.
And I think just in general, our knowledge and around how cars are built, right? And like, I mean, we see it in F1 cars all the time, right? That how they just kind of like explode on impact because they used to absorb all the impact, and then you're trapped in the steel coffin, and now it is propelled away from you.
Yeah.
And I think like, was it 2 years ago, I saw this really terrible accident on Spa, right? Between a hypercar and a GT3 car, and both drivers just walked away from it, right? But it just reinforces this thing. Like, it is not as safe as it might seem, right? Of course, there's levels of danger where you have like motorcycling or motor racing is always way more dangerous because you're not in
you're
anything.
not protected by something physical.
And exactly. And then there was a death last year in one of the, I think it was junior categories, where someone, a young man died. But it is just like, it's such a terrible thing, you know?
And I also have to say, I haven't watched any of the clips.
I haven't watched it either.
I've seen a picture of the pileup, but I've not watched a clip. I don't think I will be watching a clip.
I had originally, when I saw it first, I saw when I first saw like pictures of it before it was like announced that someone actually passed away. I was like, okay, I was thinking about maybe checking it out just to see what happened. But I'm in general not someone who actually goes back to just watch an accident in racing. I will definitely go back and watch an overtake, a cool overtake. But sure. I'm not someone, and we are usually pretty vigilant about also not highlighting this thing, because we're not here to highlight.
Well, we're not about sensationalizing things.
Exactly.
We're here because we love the sport
and the racing of it.
Yeah, exactly. So
and of course it is part of it, but usually we try to we shy away from highlighting that, because you could obviously put a lot of that sensationalizing.
And that's also how you get a lot of views and a lot of clicks by highlighting and emphasizing those things, but that's just not what we're passionate about. We're actually passionate about the sport, the human aspect, like we preached about really last week. So it's not about this for us, but it was important to us to at least touch on it this weekend, because it is such a big moment in motorsport, and it definitely affected us also this weekend. And I'm sure it has affected lots of other people. I also saw on Reddit that people who were watching it live, it was for 40 minutes, nobody kind of knew what was happening, because they didn't show a replay of it. They didn't show the incident, period.
And it's usually, it's pretty, it's bad if they don't show a replay.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
In live sports, when someone gets a really horrific injury, they, it's usually bad if they don't show a replay.
Yes.
And 40 minutes also a long time, and then to get that news, right? Because you hope 40 minutes and you're just like, okay, everyone's fine. It was just a lot of cars that got damaged. Who cares?
And they have to sort it out. There's obviously lots that goes into it, but it's just a very sad
day for motorsport,
and weekend for motorsport. But I think we're just gonna take a breath.
Yeah, we're going to take a breath, and we're going to shift the mood.
Go back to regular programming.
Because there was, of course, still more racing, and also actually really a lot of cool racing this weekend that we also had the pleasure of watching.
Yes.
And the first thing we're going to talk about is actually the World Endurance Championship return for the first race of the season.
Yes.
After the first original race was postponed, potentially canceled, we don't know yet.
I think it has been postponed to the end of the season as far as I know.
But it's still in the stars whether or not it's going to happen, but as for right now, it is postponed because we obviously don't know what will happen.
Well, yes, I mean, it's officially rescheduled to the end of the season, but we don't know what happens in that part of the world to potentially impact that.
Exactly.
So, but we watched it today. We watched it almost live,
yes. It started at 4 a.m.
our local time.
Pacific Standard Time. It's a little bit too early for me. I think I started watching around 6 a.m. But first thing I wanted to mention really, really quickly was the qualifying.
Yes.
The qualifying I didn't watch the qualifying itself, but I did watch the highlight video, and you really have to really put a light on Antonio Giovinazzi. He put a monster lap down. The really cool thing, what I also like about the World WEC or like in general, like endurance racing, the qualifying is so different compared to F1 because you can do multiple laps, right? And he started his last lap literally with like a second or 2 seconds to go. Like he passes the start finish line and then the timer drops to 0.
Yeah.
And then he puts down a monster lap and puts the number 51 Ferrari onto the podium with, what is it, like, how much, what's the difference to the Toyota?
It's 0.011. Yes.
0.111.
Yeah, exactly.
So he puts it in front of
I'm just laughing because we're looking at the table and it says it right there.
Yeah, it says right there. Sorry. Yeah, I was like, it was overwhelmed. Puts it in front of the number 8 Toyota that it has one of my favorite drivers, Sebastian Buemi, in there. Sebastian Buemi is actually the driver that I really started to like last year during the Imola race because he put up such a monster defense.
Yes.
This was the third year that they were at the Imola. So the first year was won by Toyota. The second year was won by Ferrari. And then we had a red car lockout for the start because we had the 51 Ferrari in first place. The now red Toyota livery with the number 8 car in second place. And then we had the number 50 Ferrari on third place. Also, who actually qualified really up high was the Peugeot, the number 94 car. Unfortunately, both Peugeots really kind of fell apart during the race. There was one driver who unfortunately really struggled with, I think, was it the first corner? It was one of them, and he multiple times sent it into the gravel trap, and it was just not on for the Peugeots this weekend. I did also wanted to point out we had the hypercar, the Genesis Magma car for the very first time on the grid. So they also have 2 cars now on the grid. They have the number 19 car and then the number 17 car.
So the 19 car is a black car.
Yeah.
And the 17 car is like a silver-ish.
Yeah. That is a little bit more reminiscent of the Hyundais from the rally. So because the colors and stuff like that, it gives me like very much the Hyundai N.
I understand what you mean, but I don't agree because the Hyundai M is like a baby blue.
Is it not baby blue?
No, this is a gray.
Oh, it's a gray.
Yeah.
I thought, sorry.
No.
This screen makes it look like...
No, it's definitely a gray.
Okay.
But before we go into the racing, let's talk about something important here. First of all, Toyota's new livery.
Yes, Toyota's new livery.
Gorgeous.
I will say I'm usually not a fan when too many cars have the same color because obviously the Ferrari is red, right? Don't infringe on that. And then the Toyota in the last couple of years was white with like red and black accents. And now this year it is all red with a little bit of white in there. But it is a very gorgeous car.
Yes. And I think you can still differentiate between the Ferrari and the Toyota without any issues, also because the Ferrari has the big like yellow portions of the car on there, so visually it's no problem at all. I think the Toyota just looks really nice. The color, the placement of things, there just seems like a good looking car.
Yes.
So I'm happy about it. And it was really fun to see just like some of the battling also between the Toyota and the Ferrari on the track.
Yes. I do also wanted to point out that BMW this year has significantly changed their livery. It used to be that classic like white, blue, and a little bit of red. There was last couple of years, and this time around it has a lot more red and yellow in there.
Well, that's only the 20 BMW because the 15 still has more of the blue.
15, but I think it still has changed the look. But what I would like to point out is that what I really appreciate about BMW, they are very much able to put their signature look into every single category car. Like it is, you can put a line out and you will always be able to spot the
just
BMW.
like a McLaren typically, because they all have that papaya orange.
Yes, but you could spot a BMW regardless of color. Because of the nose. They bring the nose everywhere, and it is such a signature look. And I just really appreciate that they're able to like bring
have
that.
Like a cohesive
they
brand.
Have a very cohesive. Yes. And before we get into this race, I did also watch a little bit of the GT3 Revival Series race that happened last weekend. And I watched a little bit of the first race at my dentist appointment. And there I saw the most gorgeous BMW ever, which is the BMW Z, as in zebra, for GT3. And it is a car recently that I also saw on iRacing that's a legacy car. And I was like, what a gorgeous car. I'm so glad that people get to race this again.
Yes.
What a gorgeous car. I showed it to you.
Yes,
and
no,
agreed.
and I agree. Because the one thing that I love about BMW, and we've talked about it on the pod before, but it just has this like really like aggressive.
It's a bully.
Yeah, like we don't glorify bullies.
No.
But it has such a strong statement on the track.
It's so aggressive.
It's so aggressive and big, and it just like. It feels like it's gonna just make its way to the front in a way, and I do this because it has like that little snout.
Where it's like I think like a lot of times like the McLarens or the Corvettes and all stuff, they look sporty and fast, whereas the BMW always looks aggressive and powerful.
Exactly, I think I completely agree with that. And then before we go into the racing, I do want to point out one last thing about the BMW, not about the hypercar. But I learned today about the BMW WRT team.
The number 69 car?
Well, about the team in general.
Yeah.
Did you hear who's their new sporting director?
Is that someone I should know?
Yes.
Is it a man?
No.
It's a woman.
Yes.
It's a woman that I know.
Yes. And a woman that we saw while watching the race.
Oh, Rahel.
Yeah.
Lit, dude.
So Rahel Frey from the Iron Dames. She, starting February, she took on the spot of sporting director for that team.
Awesome.
And so now, spoiler, they won the 6-hour race in Imola. Then before that, they had 2 other races that the team, and they also placed 1 and 2.
Let's
or like
one
other race where they placed 1 and 2, I think in like an Asian series. How exciting. I'm so glad also that she found a place.
Yes.
Because obviously she was racing with the Iron Dames. The team currently, or the main racing team currently doesn't have funding.
Yes.
Financial backing. So we've seen the women other places.
Michelle Gatting was there for a meet and greet with the Iron Dames.
Exactly. And then, but Rahel Frey actually, like she now has a job with the BMW WRT team, which I'm very happy for her.
Celia Martin was actually racing in the GT3 Revival Series. She was racing in a Ford. And then I believe Sarah Bovey will be their Grand Marshal for the 24-hour race of Le Mans.
Oh, yes. I remember reading that. Yes.
So I'm glad that they are getting opportunities to obviously substitute their income in ways.
Well, and also just be still part of the public eye and perception. So hopefully they are
able to get funding, because I don't know if the Iron Dames are at least running at the Le Mans race. I don't know if they're not even doing that.
I don't think so. I don't think their endurance team is racing at all this season. I know they're like they have some like horse riding. There was a woman competing at the Porsche Carrera Cup in Germany, I think, this weekend also. So there's like some more junior leagues, or women are still being supported through the Iron Dames, but the program has stepped back quite a bit just because there's been so much financial turbulence through their like parent companies also. Yeah,
it is so interesting because it seems like the Ironlings are not as affected by it. I don't know if the Ironlings are also, they have other funding and stuff like that. We've talked about it. I'm very surprised that the Iron Dames weren't able to find funding, because it just seems that they're so popular.
Yes.
You would think that they would find sponsorship, and that there are companies that would want to align themselves with that.
Yeah, or like celebrities. Yeah. Or like people in
kind of
motorsport.
What like Alpine did with, like, they had so many athletes, right, that bought into that. Wasn't it Anthony, what is it? Was that a boxer who owns part of it now?
What's his name? Anthony I know Edwards? Who you're, no.
Anthony.
I know who you're talking
British
about.
Boxer,
British
right?
boxer. But I'm also thinking about Angel City FC, the women's soccer team here has so many celebrities, also female celebrities like Natalie Portman, I think Eva Longoria, Serena's husband,
Alexei
Ohanian or something like that.
He's Armenian, Ohanian.
Yes. Yeah. So there's so many people who came forward to help put money into the team to support. Yeah. So I'm hoping there's going to be people out there to support the Iron Dames, because it's such a great cause, and they've had excellent results. And I think last year also they finished higher than the Ironlings. So it is just like, it's a little bit unfortunate. Yeah. I want to get into too much
but we're hoping to see them obviously on the grid again next year. It's also good to see that Celia Martin is racing the GT3 Royal Series and all that stuff.
For sure.
But the race itself.
Yeah.
First things first, I wanted to point out, it's so much more well-behaved than the ELMS.
Very true. And before we go more into it, first things first, the start. Yes. I didn't see the start.
Yes.
But you pointed out to me, which I forgot because I don't watch a lot of the WEC races, or I don't watch them from the beginning. I just watch like bits and pieces.
Yeah, you usually tune in with me at some point, or you might be busy watching other stuff.
Exactly. So I didn't realize, and I love that you pointed this out to me, and I also love that they do this. So if you've not watched a WEC race, so at the beginning of the race, so they do a running start or a rolling start.
Running, yes, and they also do this in the ELMS, by the way.
Yeah, so they do their warm-up lap, or they usually do a couple, I think. But then towards the end of it, there's like this music that starts playing. Are you gonna cue the music?
No, I'm just. It's called Also sprach Zarathustra by Richard Strauss.
Okay. So it's a famous classical music piece.
And I think it is like public domain.
Yes, yeah. So it's very famous. Once you hear it, I'm sure most of you will recognize it. But essentially, as the cars approach the start-finish line to actually start the race, the music starts playing in the, I don't know if you can hear it when you're there, but on TV,
yes,
it shows or it plays. And you can hear it, and it's like this insane.
I'm gonna see if I can play it.
It builds the suspense. I'm waiting to see. No.
Yeah, it's coming because it's just starting.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. So like it's slowly. There we go. So you can imagine cars. The group of hypercars in the front, with GT cars in the back, and they're approaching the start line. They're huddled together. They can't pass each other yet, but they're closer and closer to start line. Who's going to have a good start? Is it going to be the Ferrari? Is it going to be the Toyota? Is there going to be an underdog? That's so good. Such a great way to start it.
And this is it. This is it now. This is the grunt when the lights turn green. Usually the fireworks go off, and then in this case you had like the Italian flag and all this stuff.
Yes.
Really, really cool. It just really sets the stage. It's like, oh, let's go.
Yeah.
And it's just like the build up, and then the, how do you call it?
The climax.
No, there's another word.
Crescendo.
Crescendo. Yes. Just really awesome way.
Yes.
Then so race start super clean, right? We actually had a really, really clean race all around. We had one safety car, and it was due to the Codis Lexus in the GT3 class. Unfortunately, both of the cars were running actually really, really well in the front, or I think even top 5. And then both cars separately had issues. One of the cars stopped in the pits. Was able to, they were, able to do work on that. And then the other car had to be retired on the side of the road. The car just turned off and then wouldn't turn back on again. And then the driver had to just post it on the side of the road. And it's just really, really unfortunate because it's also the beginning of the race.
Yeah, it's beginning of the season also.
Yes. It was like, and it's just like you put all this work in. I feel so bad for everyone who like shows up and puts in all this hard work. And then you can't even take it racing really.
But it was overall, like you said, it was a very clean race. There was not a lot of yellow flags.
Nope.
Not a lot of spinning, or like there was one, I think, turn or corner in particular where several people went through the gravel.
Yep.
But they didn't, like most of them made it out of the gravel. Yep. There was Nick Cassidy at one point when he came out in the first time in the Peugeot driver.
Sorry, Peugeot, yeah, not Renault.
He ended up getting stuck in the gravel. He was lifted out and he was able to continue the race.
And then a couple times he went through.
Yeah, so there was speculation that he was having some issues with the Peugeot because he's known to be a good driver. And that was also one thing I noticed. what I love about it, especially also because we watch so much more racing now, but there's so much overlap between different series.
The grid is stacked with champions.
I mean, we've had literal world champions. We have, people from Formula One. We have Formula E. We have Indy. I mean, from so many different types of racing, they kind of come together to earn the crown of world endurance.
I mean, just to name a few, right? We have Antonio Giovinazzi, I already mentioned. Yeah. You have Robert Kubica, right? You have Kumai Kobayashi.
Yeah.
Sebastian Buemi.
Yeah.
You have Nick de Vries.
Yes. Nick Cassidy is also huge, of course. Then we have
Antonio Fuoco, who actually last weekend in the ELMS was racing in the GT3 car. He's now racing in the hypercar,
which
as
he always
races.
Does. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there's so many of them.
It is stacked,
and it's really also just fun to see.
Sergeant Logan
Sargent.
Sorry, the other way around. I don't know why I said it that way.
But yeah, there's lots of familiar faces, which is always exciting, because I think also if you watch something and you have some kind of personal connection or like some kind of connection, you're a little bit more invested.
Absolutely. And then we have this year, we have new hypercars. Next year, we have McLaren bringing their hypercar, right?
And it's also exciting to see. Last year, we had the Aston Martin rejoin for the first time. And then this year, we have now Genesis. And then also to see how well Aston Martin is doing, or like the improvement that it's done over the year. And then like the Genesis did a lot better than maybe some people anticipated.
Yeah.
I mean,
especially the 17 car. The 19, we didn't really get to see its magic.
But I mean, which is understandable. It's the first race out. They also have additional weight on the car, and they also have less power in the car on purpose, which is just a rule. Exactly.
And I believe in the WEC, there is a rule that for the first couple of races, they're actually not allowed to make changes to the car. They have to do a certain amount of races, and then they're able to bring improvements and upgrades to it. So it's just a matter of time, you know. But it is exciting that this is also a sport that is growing now again. We had record attendance. I think they said 90 around over the weekend, about 92,000 people attended. And you also have to admit, like Imola and the area around it, absolutely gorgeous. The drone shot that you saw, absolutely stunning.
Also the drone, there was like one specific drone shot where there was a battle between, it was the McLaren and
the Corvette.
Was it the Corvette? Yeah, it was the LMGT3 category.
It was around the 2 hour mark,
Yeah, so there was like this drone shot that was following them.
2 hours left. In case people want to look it
up. I see. So there was this drone shot where it was following them, and it was so beautiful because the shot itself was just gorgeous, because it felt so close.
I mean, with drones, you can get these really awesome shots.
Yeah, and like the nice, like different types of angles that you would get otherwise, and also you have a little bit more of a sense of the speed that they go, because sometimes it's hard to grasp on TV how fast they go. Yeah. And then also, of course, when you see like a hypercar pass an LMGT3 car, it's like, that's also, let me just say, what makes WEC so exciting. The fun part is the two different, the multi-classes on the track, which obviously causes more difficulty. It also causes difficulty specifically, actually, which I thought was super interesting for the hyperclass car.
Yes, because the hypercars, the onus is always on the car passing, that you make a clean pass.
Yes.
You adjust to the GT3s. Of course, the GT3s are not going to be like, I'm going to try to race you. But the GT3 will take its corner the way. But that is how it's taught. You're supposed to be predictable. So if you stick to the racing line, it is easier for the hypercar to pass you, because the hypercars on average there, I think, are almost 50 kilometers faster.
Well, we saw the fastest lap time. I think it was like 11 seconds faster.
So it ended up even out around 10 seconds. Yeah. So I think the Aston Martin hit the top speed, the hypercar, was around 317.8. And then the Corvette hit the fastest top speed with the GT3s, which was around 271.3.
Yeah.
So it's about 50 kilometers, give or take. And so it's a huge difference,
It's
right?
a big difference, yes.
But it is also so interesting because you can use that, both of them can use each other strategically,
Yes.
right? If you're a hypercar going through the GT3s, right, you're going to try the guy who's following you, or girl, right, following you, you're going to try to make it difficult for them, maybe set it up in a way that you're able to get past the GT3, but but the other car has to wait until the corner is over and stuff like that. And then obviously sometimes GT3s are battling with each other, so they might try to squeeze a hypercar in between them, so they're gonna get a little bit of a gap.
That's what we had seen what happened. I think it was it between the Mustang and I don't remember, it doesn't matter, but there was two LMGT3s battling, and they were like really intensely battling for, I think, first place at the moment. And there was two hypercars coming that were also battling each other, but then the front LMGT3 was like blocking the hypercar a little bit. It's like, don't come in yet, because this is not going to benefit me, or this is going to hurt me if you pass now. So he kind of got into the way safely, but definitely with a little bit of risk.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really fun aspect of, and it would also makes just watching the race a lot more interesting.
Yes, and like in this race, we got like the almost quote unquote the perfect version of it, where it's like no one like got into trouble with anyone else, because it does happen where like a hypercar clips GT3 car. I think today a GT3 car, I think one of the Mercedes actually hit the Cadillac, the Hertz Team Hertz Joda. Yeah. And it was just a little bump and nothing happened. Obviously something could happen worse, because Imola last year, there was a lot of people who got sent into the traps. There was a lot more safety cars.
See, I don't remember it.
Yeah, I remember, because there was constantly safety cars, constantly someone was doing something. And then I think we had was it Interlago on the other hand, where everyone was super well behaved.
Oh, gotcha.
I say well behaved. It's obviously no one is doing this on purpose, because otherwise you're out.
Yeah.
I do remember very vividly last year during the Imola race, you had a terrible incident where in the pits, where one of the team members was running around, crew members was running around the GT3, and I think it was Valentino's GT3 car, and they were holding on to part of the wing, and then that if this is the rear spoiler, and the piece that sticks onto that just off, because he kind of did this thing, you know, when you're trying to run around a corner and you hold on to it to slingshot around. He did that kind of to the wing to get on the other side quickly, and it's not like he was ripping on it, but
no, so he didn't do it on purpose.
No. I mean, he did touch it on purpose, but he obviously didn't rip it off.
I thought he meant to rip it off, because today we had somebody who lost part of the side wing, side mirror.
Yes.
So I thought maybe he was just like, oh, let's just take it off.
No. He then I don't know if it was Valentino's. It was one of the BMWs, and then it was hanging down, and then they had to come into the pits again because it was unsafe, and they had to reattach it, which is the same thing that happened to the side view mirror. One of the cars lost. I don't know why no one did anything about it, because the commentators were like, are they going to just replace the whole door? Yeah. And then they just took off, and then the car was called in, because like you cannot drive with this your
like
side
a
view
loose
mirror
piece,
just hanging by, you know, a thread essentially, because if that drops down, it could cause a crash.
But I mean, I get the guy trying to slingshot around, because
I get it.
One, it's fun. It's ridiculous, but it's fun. But then also you see them jump on the front of the cars to clean the front, and sometimes I'm like, bro, take it easy. These cars need to be, you have to handle with care. But some of them, they're just like, whoa. Or there was one, was like, because they were fixing, I think that was when they were trying to fix the Lexus. One guy was standing on the front of the hood with his feet on the front bumper and trying to like bounce it to see where the loose
suspension.
Yeah, but they were also trying to see if they were like where the loose pieces potentially.
To test it. I was like, yeah, but like, I mean, because they are chugging these cars around, right?
Of course.
Over 200 kilometers an hour. And with the GT3 cars, they can really eat those sausage curbs. Yeah. Like, they just send it over. You do this in a hypercar.
GT cars, it's also, they have their elbows out a little bit more.
Yeah. They're like...
Exactly.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
And you did have a lot of really, really good fighting.
Yes.
It was the 50 car, the number 50 Ferrari, even though it started in third place, I can't even remember because it's been so long what happened, but it did not have the pace, and it didn't have the competitiveness of the 51 Ferrari. And then you did have fighting actually all the way going. And this is really the exciting thing about the WEC is like, you have 6-hour races, you have 4-hour races, you have 12-hour races, 24-hour races, and you still have people battling all the way until the very end. It's not like, it's very rare that someone just wins with like 7 minutes ahead or anything. Like 7 minutes is exaggerated, right?
Yeah.
But like with like a 30 seconds, a minute or anything like that leap, you had, I think going into the last hour, you actually had 2 Toyotas on the podium. And then you had the Ferrari, the number 51 Ferrari in the 3rd position. And you had Kobayashi actually in the number 7 Toyota, holding back Giovinazzi and wasting so much of his time because Giovinazzi's battle was never with the number 7 Toyota. It was always with the number 8 Toyota. But he didn't have the pace. He didn't have and Kobayashi, obviously he's no chump, right?
Yeah.
He kept him behind him, and it was so exciting. The battling and like getting through the traffic with the GT3 cars, right? And battling it all the way down, both of them going into the pits at the same time. But the number 7 Toyota had to get also brand new tires. And then you had all of this game of like who's going to pit first, what is with the tires, and then you have to obviously fuel consumption. And then at the same time, like the last 2 hours, it was always like, is it gonna rain? Is it gonna rain? Right?
Literally.
It's like, and then
there's some drops in T2.
Some drops.
Yeah.
And just like the ELMS race last week, they did officially say that declare the track as wet. The reason why it has to be declared means that then now you're allowed to put on wet tires in case it comes down to that. Just like the ELMS race last week, it didn't come down to that. The track stayed dry enough, and it seemed like all around it was raining in that area,
literally,
but just like around the track itself, it stayed as for most part
mostly dry. Yes.
And it is really awesome. And then it came down between the number 8 Toyota, Sebastian Buemi in it, and in the Ferrari, the number 51 car, and the Toyota was able to clutch it out, bring it home, and win it for the 2nd time in Imola. Really, really exciting. Super happy also for Sebastian Buemi, who has a fantastic record out of 100 race starts.
No.
99?
I think he had 93.
Or is it 90?
Because Toyota
Toyota itself
had the 100th WEC race, and they've won 50 of them.
So that's 50% win race. That's absurd.
Which is insane. But then Sebastian Buemi, on the other hand, I think he had 93 race starts, and he's been on the podium 55 times.
55, I think 56 now with this.
Yes.
But yeah, and what a fantastic race stat. Sebastian Buemi, last year, as I said, he put out a mountain of a defense in that Toyota, and this year again, fantastic rides. And it is also what I think is really interesting. For example, we had also Kevin Magnussen in the number 15 BMW in the hypercar, and Kevin Magnussen was actually they only did 2 drivers.
Yes.
Whereas I think all of the Ferraris ran with 3 drivers. I don't know about the customer, quote unquote, car, which is the number 83, the yellow Ferrari with Kubica in it. I don't know if they ran 3. I think they might have.
I
think they all did. Yeah. But it is very interesting because unlike the Le Mans race, you're not required to. So this is optional. You could just do the race with 2 racers. So Kevin did he did the first 3 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the other driver did the remaining.
But also what a feat to do it like. You have to go full out for over 3 hours. Yep. Yes, they did have a safety car, but the safety car was not out for very long.
It wasn't that long, yeah.
So it's quite. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I mean the track is not too difficult. It was fine."
And he was said also like I guess also it wasn't like overtly hot.
Yes, exactly.
Where maybe if it was like blazing hot, you might be like, okay, let's do an hour and a half. We'll switch it out.
No, of course, that makes sense.
But it just shows like you're focused in and you're putting in these laser laps for 3 hours and some change straight. That is incredibly impressive.
It is incredibly impressive.
Of course, we didn't have only awesome racing in the hypercars. We had really, really exciting racing also in the GT3s. I opened that on the top for you. Yeah. There we had actually also a little bit of heartbreak. There was some awesome racing going on between the 33 the Fuck Sport or TF Sport car and the number 59 McLaren that last year was racing under a different name. It was last year, it was the official McLaren racing team, and now I believe it is a customer car because McLaren is focusing all their efforts on the hypercar.
Fair.
And they had a really, really awesome battle. This was around the 2-hour mark, and they were battling, and eventually I believe his name is Tom. I forgot his last name. Tom. He was the racer. He ended up getting the Wingfoot Award.
Oh, nice.
Because he did such a phenomenal job in the number 59 McLaren. However, if you already looked at the results, you're like, well, the number 59 is nowhere near.
Nowhere to be seen, really.
Nowhere to be seen because with 30 minutes to go, the car broke down, and he ended up having to. He limped it around the track, and then he was able to make it into the pits, and then they had to push him all the way to it because I think the air combustion thing broke, and so it's so heartbreaking. For 5.5 hours, you did everything, and I do believe, and I think it's fair to say that he would have probably been able to bring it home for them because of the gap that he was able to.
Yeah, but then it's the same thing that we always say. There's always ifs.
Of course. You
coulda,
don't
woulda,
know.
shoulda, we don't know, but this is racing, and unfortunately, this happened, and so the outcome is not what they were hoping for. It made it, of course, all the more interesting because the battling, like we said, was insane. That was also one of the drone shots that I was talking about. I mean, we saw a lot of great battling, also in both categories.
Yes,
categories mixing with each other. I mean, it was so much fun. Like we said, the BMW team WRT ended up winning, which was obviously exciting.
And then 2/10 behind it was the number 33, the TF Sport Corvette. So it was, again, really tight.
Yes.
Also in that category, because I think in the hypercars, it was ended up like a 15-second between Giovinazzi and Sebastian Buemi.
They're almost 14 or 13 and a half.
13 and 14, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like swaying. But it is really heartbreaking, but I mean, I don't know how much of a consolation it is that you win the Wingfoot Award. Wingfoot Award in the WEC is actually only awarded to the LMGT3 drivers. It is not for the hypercar drivers, and it is just like the most valuable rider.
Yes.
Or driver. Sorry. And
it's voted by the audience.
By the audience. You can do this on social media while the race is happening, and he ended up winning. But it's so heartbreaking because I get the racing pendulum swings, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it swings in your favor and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
So heartbreaking that you made it all the way until 30 minutes left of it. You're essentially on the home stretch. You probably didn't even have to pit anymore.
Yeah.
And then that happens.
Yeah. What a bummer. But overall, I think it was a really great first 6-hour race.
I'm super excited. Do you, by chance, can look up the calendar when the next race is?
Yes. Give me 1 second. Here, so the next race is coming up in Spa, exactly May 9th. So that's going to be another interesting one.
I think, can you click on it? Is this also a 6-hour race, or is this a little bit?
6-hour race, yes. 6 hours
of Spa. That one, last year, we almost had a Peugeot on the podium. So hopefully they're able to kind of get their head out of the sand because they had the performance. It was just not happening.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it was the first race of the weekend or of the season, so we'll
in about
we'll
2
see.
weeks' time. It will return. So that's when life is gonna get real busy for us.
Yes,
because that's when also we'll have all the series that we follow.
Yeah, MotoGP, Formula One, everybody's gonna be back.
But
so it's gonna be.
We've been able to watch other stuff, which is
exciting. It's been excellent. Speaking of other stuff, we've watched one more big thing this weekend.
Yes.